5, 4, 3, 2.
Tier 1 Performance.
Welcome back to the In and Out Talks podcast, powered by Tier 1 Performance. Mitch Matulia here. Today's special guest, Mr. Mike Partida, Major League Baseball scout for the Cincinnati Reds, Director of Operations for Texans Baseball here in Houston, and part owner of SP Cages. Mike, welcome to the pod, man.
Appreciate you guys having me.
Absolutely, brother. We got a lot of great stuff to cover today, man. You're a huge baseball guy. We love that. But first and foremost, just for our listeners out there, I mean, where are you from? And when did you start getting like involved in sports, specifically baseball?
Yeah, so raised in the Houston area, went to high school, Deer Park High School, graduated from there. After that, got into engineering, went to school, thought I wanted to do something like that, and it wasn't for me.
Yeah.
You know, so I just knew getting behind the computer, staying in the office all day wasn't for me. So
100%. Where'd you go to college at?
So, my story is a little different, man.
Yeah.
So I had my kid when I was a senior in high school.
Okay.
So life took me a different direction. So had to work full time doing that. Had to go to school part time. Started off at San Jack Community College, and then from there went to U of H Clear Lake.
That's awesome, man. And like throughout your childhood, I mean, when did you start getting into baseball? Did you start from a young age?
Yeah, man. Started at a young age. Probably 6 years old.
Yeah.
All the way to Little League. So.
That's awesome. And was it just baseball, or were you into like other sports as well?
Not really into other sports. It was just mostly baseball. I mean, when you get into junior high, of course you tried to play other sports. I played basketball, played football, but baseball was my main sport.
Yeah. Were you always a Stros fan growing up?
Always a Stros fan.
Let's go, bro. Even through the dark years.
Oh, yeah.
You saw the light at the end of the tunnel.
No doubt.
Dude, nice. So after college, I mean, where did life take you, into your 20s and things like that?
Yeah, so my brother is 6 years younger than me, and I went to go see him play basketball. He was a big basketball player in high school. One of my former coach was the principal there at the high school, and just got to start talking to him. And at that time, I was working for an engineering firm, and like I said, man, I just kind of knew that wasn't for me. And so got to talking to him at the basketball game. He's like, "Hey, man, how's everything going?" It's like, "Going great, man. Just, I think I want to do something different. I just don't know what I want to do yet."
Yes.
He's like, "Man, you ever thought about getting into coaching?" I said, "You know what? I always thought about coaching. I love all the different sports." I said, "Yeah, man, I wouldn't mind, getting into something like that." So he that summer he called me, and he's like, "Hey, I might have something for you if you're interested." I said, "Sure, what is it?" He's like, "Coaching junior high football and basketball." I said, "Okay." Didn't have my teaching degree, I was still in college. But, talking to him, he's like, "Hey, try education out, and see how you like it." So switched my major over to education. So while I was doing that, I was working at the junior high coaching. So worked out really well.
That's awesome. And what junior high were you at?
Fairmont Junior High.
Fairmont. Is that what school district?
That's in Deer Park.
Deer Park?
Yeah.
Dude, that's awesome. And did you gravitate to other sports as well, or is it?
Yeah. So after my first year, like I said, I was a big baseball guy. So at that time, Deer Park coach was Ricky Crawford. Went to go talk to him at the high school, and I told him, like, "Hey, look, I'm interested in coaching high school baseball." At that time, I was working at the junior high, so he's like, "Hey, why don't you come over after school, come over to the high school and help us out?" And so end up doing that, and that ended up getting me into the baseball program at the high school, ended up getting a job at the high school. So ended up coaching there at the high school for almost 7 years.
That's awesome, dude. And what subject were you teaching in school?
I was in school suspension teacher.
ISS, dude. Yes. You're getting kids in headlocks. Give them the business.
It's crazy, but
I'm sure you got some stories.
Oh yeah.
Dude. And from Deer Park, what was next for you as far as your career goes?
So from Deer Park, coach that was there, Emmett Jagno, was going to another school, Houston Christian. It was a private school. And he asked me if I had to go over there with him. And I said, yeah, I'll go over there with you. I like the way he coached. I learned a lot from him. And so I thought it was a great opportunity to go out there and make that move.
That's awesome. And did you guys have some good talent over the years when you were at Houston Christian as well?
We did. We had really good talent. We had some guys that ended up playing some college baseball. We had Shane Boz, who played with us for a year. Ended up getting drafted by the Pittsburgh Pirates. But I ended up leaving after a year there, and that's when I got into Division I baseball, my first college job.
And where was that at?
Southern University in Baton Rouge, Louisiana.
Let's go, dude. And in the SWAC, correct?
In the SWAC.
And what year was this?
That was 2015.
2015. Oh, you know Sam May then. I think we spoke to you about him.
Yeah.
Okay.
So Sam was there. Yeah, Sam was there before. I know the name. I came in after him.
Okay. And then Brady May, Connor Baumgartner, those are all Kingwood guys that we grew up with that all went to Southern. I don't think they lasted all 4 years, but they might have left right before you got there.
Yeah.
Okay. And what was your experience at the Division I level at Southern University in particular?
Yeah, it was an eye-opening experience. My first college job, right? Coming out of high school, working with high school kids. Now you're going to college, working with a little bit older kids. Transitioning into the SWAC. Trying to learn that league there.
Correct.
But it was a great experience being able to work with those type of athletes. I was in charge of recruiting. I was in charge of the infield, and so it was a great experience for me under legendary coach Roger Kadar.
Yes.
So he's like a legend in the SWAC.
That's awesome. What was the connection like? Did somebody at Houston Christian know somebody at Southern, or was it?
So I used to work for the Houston Nationals when they started their Urban Youth Academy.
Okay.
So I was with them for 3 years, and back then they had the tournament at Minute Maid called I think it was the SWAC Classic or something like that.
Yes.
And so we played host to the teams, and I actually got to meet Coach Kadar one of those years that they were playing in it, and we kept in touch. He was a great guy. I'd call him and talk baseball with him. Mm-hmm. That 1 year after I was at Houston Christian, he called me up and he said, "Hey man, I got a spot on my staff. Would you be interested in coming over?" And I was like, yeah, first college job, why not?
That's awesome. And how many seasons were you at Southern for?
Just one.
Okay. Yeah. And then what was next in your journey after that?
So after that, I went to Alvin Junior College.
Okay.
And I was there for 6 years.
Wow. All as like a head assistant, or what were you in charge of at Alvin?
I was in charge of recruiting. Yeah, I was assistant coach in charge of recruiting.
That's awesome, dude. So. And is that what led you into the scouting position that you are with today?
Correct, yeah. So, I never thought I'd get into scouting. I always loved coaching, but I always found scouting interesting. And then every single year, getting to know the scouts when they'd come over and watch us play, talking to them and, kind of picking their brain. Hey, how is it on that side? It was always something that I found interesting. And then, guys just asked me like, hey, you ever thought of getting into scouting? I was like, no, I never thought about getting into scouting. I always thought it was pretty cool what they did.
Right.
I always liked being on the field. But, I just thought that, hey man, let me try the scouting thing. Let me see if it's something I liked. Because while I was at Alvin, I've had maybe 4 or 5 interviews with different organizations. They'd always call at the end of the year, like, hey, we have a scouting position open. Would you be interested? And, always, I took the call and, see what it was all about. And, but I just thought I just had to wait until there was a right fit. And I think the right fit came in 2020 with the Reds. It was an opportunity to still live in the area that I still live in. So I cover South Texas and all Louisiana.
That's so awesome, because I've always been so curious as to how one becomes an MLB scout. And it seems like, well, A, it's through connections, and B, it's like having a past history of recruiting players and just having an eye for talent and things like that, which sounds like you just had almost like a decade of up till that point.
Yeah, correct.
Yes.
Yeah. So building, when I was there at Alvin, we build competitive teams. And like you said, it's going out and finding those players. And, every year we've had guys play Division I baseball, go out and have a really good career. From there, end up getting drafted. When I was at Alvin, we had 6 guys drafted out of Alvin Junior College. So,
because what years you were at Alvin from 2014 to 2020?
I was at Alvin from 2015 to 2016 to 2021 or 2020. Yeah.
That's awesome. That's awesome. And so, the Southwest region, as far as like the Cincinnati Reds is concerned, I mean, what all like major cities does that cover?
So South Texas, it's funny because we really don't have a line. So it's almost like, okay, you take 10. So I pretty much go to San Antonio, College Station, up to Nacogdoches, and then everything down south.
Okay.
But then I cover the whole state of Louisiana.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
Big territory.
Yeah. And what are some are there any notable players that you've helped get signed that are now like still playing in the big leagues or moving up?
So I don't have a big leaguer yet.
Okay.
Hopefully here pretty soon.
Yes.
But I've drafted 9 guys since I've been there.
That's
so
awesome.
It's been pretty cool.
That's so awesome. And I know that like we wanted to definitely cover this past MLB draft and kind of like in your eyes, but first I want to cover like what do you look for in athletes, specifically high school and college athletes, that that kids should know? You know what I mean? Like intangibles. Are there things that they could be doing off the field? Are there ways that they can be carrying themselves on the field that would catch the eye of a scout?
Yeah. So of course we're looking for tools. Those tools are hit for power, arm strength, speed, defense. Mm-hmm. So, those are the big, those are the 5 tools that, we look for. And then, of course, the 6th tool is the mental side, So, when we go out and look for players, of course, you're looking for athletes. Yes. Guys that, guys that stick out, right? So when I go, we're looking for guys that play premium positions, your shortstops, your catchers, your center fielders. And then, of course, you're looking for big arms, yes. Guys that can throw strikes.
That's awesome. And so, I guess how much does size play a factor? Is that if you have those tools like you were just talking about, does it matter if a guy's like 5'8" or 6'3"? How much does size matter to you personally as a scout?
Size doesn't really matter, but it does play a part in it. Mm-hmm. The Altuves, those are, the rare guys.
They're
right?
one-off situations.
Right. So, but, you look for, of course, physicality, guys that have strong bodies. So size does play, it plays a huge part in it.
Absolutely. And, so you were talking about like those core positions like shortstop, catcher, center fielder, and how you draft all-around athletes. How important is it that kids play multiple sports growing up, in your opinion, to gain that overall athleticism?
Yeah, I think it helps out big time, right? It helps out there with, the athletic side of things, being able to play multiple positions, play multiple sports. I'm sorry, I lost track there. But yeah, no, being able to play multiple, sports, I think it's great. You know, football guys, you know, you got guys that play basketball. You know, it's helped with their athleticism for sure.
Absolutely, because like Jordan and I, we talk about this all the time. Like, we work with kids, and I'm sure you do too, that like specialize in just baseball from a very young age. And I try to persuade them because I see them kind of lacking athleticism over the years. They might be really good at like hitting, but they lack like that lateral movement, things like that other sports can teach.
Right.
So I feel like, you know, at least up until high school, like try to play multiple sports, try to get your feet wet in other areas, maybe football, basketball, track and field, martial arts, what have you. But I'm glad you said that because we're always trying to preach that to our kids that we work with, especially the young ones.
Right.
And so now, what are you up to today? I know that you're a partner with SP Cages. Want to talk about that a little bit?
Yeah. So Gabe Solis had the idea of building some cages, and he just didn't want to build any type of cages. He thought like, hey, let's build something that that offers a lot other things and for the community. So, you know, we have, of course, the hitting facility. We have a strength and conditioning building. We have a golf simulator that's fixing to come up. But we wanted to be different from everybody else and not just focus on just one thing. We wanted to have a place where guys could come in, have fun, hang out with their friends, get some hitting in, get some lifting in, be able to hit some golf balls, and just make it a fun atmosphere.
That's awesome. That's really cool. And I mean, it caters to so many different sports that are around Houston, and it's right outside the Galleria, right? And for all those viewers out there, outside the Galleria area,
right
off
outside,
of
inside the loop.
Inside the loop.
Yeah, right there off of Chimney Rock, Fountain View area, right there.
That's awesome. And I know that you had mentioned you're also a part of the Texans baseball organization. So what exactly do you do with them? And, you know, if you could tell our listeners like what all that's about.
Yeah, so I'm I head up the high school program. We have our first group coming in as class of 2029. These guys are 15 years old. We started working with these guys and getting them prepared for their high school season.
Yes.
So, you know, we practice at Rice University, U of H, but we do a lot of things with these guys, you know, to get them ready, you know. So, you know, we go over defensive stuff, we go offensive stuff, but basically it's just, you know, player development, you know.
Yeah.
Make sure these guys get a lot of reps and talk through different situations and just be able to teach the game.
Absolutely. And I understand that you guys also kind of take care of nutrition and like cover weight training outside of
Correct.
the field.
Yeah. We do a lot of that. We have mental coaches.
Yes.
Gabe handles all the strength and conditioning stuff. He puts together a plan for those guys, puts together a nutrition plan. So we have a lot to offer for these guys.
Cover all the bases.
Correct. Yeah.
And do you have tryouts like on a yearly basis, or how can kids be a part of this organization?
Yeah, we have tryouts after every season.
Okay.
So we just had tryouts for our fall season that's coming up. After our fall season, we'll have tryouts again for the summer. So you know, we give guys opportunities to come play for the organization.
That's awesome. And we'll be able to, of course, tag all that information for those guys outside listening. And, you know, if they want to be a part of this, because I know it's one thing to be a part of a select baseball organization. It's another to be a part of like a developmental select baseball organization that covers all those bases, because it's like you're talking guys who are serious about playing at the college professional realm, where most select teams, these kids might not even want to play high school ball oftentimes. So it's, you know, you're a product of your environment at the end of the day.
Yeah.
And so I did want to kind of talk about this year's MLB draft, because some things like spoke out to me and Jordan, and one of them being, dude, there's so many high school kids taken in the first round. And I want to kind of get your take on it and your overall take of the draft, of course, but your experience with this year's draft specifically.
Yeah, no, like you said, a lot of high school kids got taken this year. And I think what played a factor in that is the way college sports is going, right? You have the transfer portal, you know, so high school guys are starting to figure out, you know, the opportunity to play Major League Baseball it's getting harder, right? The shortening of the draft is now 20 rounds. So if they go off and they decide to go play college baseball, well, they got to really perform, right?
Right.
When we go watch these guys play out of high school, we're watching them for just 1 year, so after that we have to make a decision, right? We got to, write up an evaluation based on what we saw 1 year and kind of project what type of player they're going to turn into. If they decide to go to college, then we're able to see that guy for 3 years and already kind of show us already who they are.
Yeah. Which I'm sure can hurt some guys.
Correct.
As well as help them. But it's that's always been the most fascinating thing for scouting for me is it's got to be hard to take a risk on a kid that you've only seen for 1 year at the age of 17 who, I know that there's USA Baseball, there's all these other ways of seeing these kids with a wood bat. But at the end of the day, you're seeing them up against other high school kids. You don't know how they're going to do versus, collegiate or professional level arms, right?
Yeah.
That's awesome. That's wild. So, do you think that these kids are just more refined at the high school age as well, than they used to be a decade ago or even before that?
I think so, with everything that's given to them now, right? All the resources that's out there, all the different types of training that's offered. So I think, they're given a lot more things to help them to be the type of player that they want to be.
Yeah.
So
absolutely. Because I know that the Division I level, especially the top Division I level, it seems like those guys are almost MLB ready by the time they leave college.
Correct. Yeah.
It's weird seeing guys only play a season in the minors and then all of a sudden they're up in the big leagues. Whereas I feel like that didn't used to happen.
Right. Yeah. You said, college baseball, especially in the SEC, it's almost like AAA, right?
Right.
So, guys coming out of college, it might take them, a year or two, before they're up in the big leagues. They've seen those type of arms, as hitters, facing 95 plus.
That's awesome. And then as a scout, what is the communication protocol? Whenever you're drafting a player, whenever you're selecting a guy that you want the organization to draft, if you could dive into that process a little bit as far as, whatever you want to disclose, whatever you can't disclose. I get it.
Yeah, no. So, go out, watch guys, before the season starts, you kind of put together a pref list. We've already seen these guys play in big events in the summer. Mm-hmm. So we kind of already have a list that we go by once we see these guys play. Okay, hey, this guy I'm going to have to go see early because he's a top priority player. And then we go from there. So, we'll go once the season starts, we'll go watch them play. Mm-hmm. We try to get to those guys, especially their top priority guys. We'd like to try to go see them 3 times out of the year. Sometimes it's hard. Sometimes, we're able to see them 2 times a year. But once we see them the first time, we got to put the report in, and then from there, if it's a guy that, you believe that you need your cross-checker to come in and see, and then he'll be able to come in and see your guy, evaluate him, put his report in, and if he feels like it's a guy that our national cross-checker needs to see, that guy will come in and be able to watch him, evaluate him too, put his report in.
Wow, so that's a whole process.
Yeah.
And so the first time that you try to see a high school athlete is that the summer between their junior and senior season?
Correct. Yeah, the summer before their senior year.
Okay, and then you try to see them again in the fall and then once in the spring?
Try to see them in the fall. They'll play with their select organization, so we'll try to get a look at them in the fall as well. Your top priority guys are probably going to be guys that play in the area code, Team USA, PG All-American game. So you'll be able to go see those guys, and so will other guys in the organization. Your cross checkers, your national guys. They're at those big events as well, so they're able to see those guys play.
Wow. And so I guess for you, what would be your advice to high school athletes as far as how to get seen? What tournament should they be trying to play in if they're not a part of, say, Team USA or PG All-American or area code? Are there specific tournaments that you guys target in that summer, that fall, and that spring?
There's not really specific tournaments. I think being able to get with an organization that, goes out and puts their guys in those top quality tournaments, exposure. I know there's guys that can afford it, so those guys get kind of lost in the shuffle. But, you're able to, try to get those guys to play in showcase events, whether, it might be a college that's putting on a college showcase. You might go be able to find a guy there. But, I would say, try to get with an organization that's going to put you out in front of schools, college coaches, to be able, to be seen.
No, I think that's very strong advice, because I think a lot of kids, they might join an organization that they don't really play in maybe recognizable tournaments, or maybe they don't go to these showcases where you guys are at, and they might get overlooked. But are you under the belief that if you're good enough, they'll find you?
I think that saying's true, right? Okay. But there's some guys, that are hidden somewhere else that you got to go look for, right? So it's either word of mouth,
Like small town guys.
Yeah, small town guys, so sometimes you're going down and chasing guys and end up being a ghost, You hear somebody saying, "Oh, I got this player you need to go see," and you go down there and it's not really a guy,
Paul Bunyan, like it's
yeah. So it gets interesting at times, going out trying to find guys. But yeah, it's fun, going out trying to find different talent, and they're all over the place, man. Especially Texas is so huge, and it's known for bringing talent, baseball talent, and so it's a lot of guys you got to sort through.
Do you feel like Texas, Florida, California are like top 3 states as far as baseball talent goes?
Texas, California, Florida.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's true for like football as well. Like, it's one of those things, man. It just breeds talent just in those 3 states. Now, as far as the college guys go, when is the first time that you try to find, try to watch the college guys? Is that going to be summer going into their junior season?
Yeah, so college guys is a little different. Summer going into their junior season, but when you're out watching these college games, you're also taking notes of guys who are sophomores that are going to be eligible for the draft the next year. So you kind of put a follow on those guys. So like somebody sticks out like, hey, let me put a follow on this guy that's going to be draft eligible next year. And so you go ahead and put him in the system. And that way he's already in there. So now when next year starts, you have a little note on there. So guys that you need to follow.
100%. And do you go visit summer ball leagues? Do you go up to the Cape Cod League or anything like that?
I've been up to the Cape Cod League. We are assigned different events in the summer. So whether it be the Cape Cod League, this year I did Team USA, Collegiate Team USA. There's different events, that we cover throughout the summer after we're done with our regular season.
That's awesome. And then I know that most colleges, they have like a MLB Pro Day in the fall where it's like you run your 60, you throw. Are you a part of those as well?
We used to run our own. Now, as a South Texas Scouts, we now got together and we do just one huge one. That way everybody's not trying to do their own and trying to get players. And so a player that you want to see, he might not be available. So now we just do one huge one. We host it at Minute Maid, and we call it the TSA games. And so all the prospects that are going into their senior year will play in that event in front of all Major League Baseball clubs.
That's awesome. And I guess this would be important for kids as well. Like, what are some things where you immediately check that guy's name off a list that you see on the field that just says this kid isn't mentally strong enough? I don't think he has what it takes. Even if he does have the physical attributes, what are some things that are just like turnoffs to you as a scout?
Yeah, I think body language plays a big part of it, right? Mm-hmm. Body language, not being a good teammate, how you handle adversity, striking out. What do? Do you go throw your helmet or you go throw your bat in the dugout? Right. So it's just things like that we're looking for. Like you said, might not be mentally strong enough. And so those guys, he probably needs to go to school, right? Probably need to develop that. and go through that. But you got some high school guys that they can handle that kind, right? They can handle that kind of failure. They can handle that kind of adversity. So I think some of the separators as well.
That's important, man. Like that separate those kids that need to go to college versus, hey, he's ready to go to the professional level.
Right. Yeah.
Because, I mean, you're not always looking for guys going like 4 for 4 or 5 for 5. It's like, hey, you want to sometimes, I feel like, see those games where they go 0 for 4 and see how they react to it, right?
Yeah, correct. Yeah, I mean, I think that plays a huge part in understanding who that player is, right? And how does he bounce back from it? Does he carry it to the field, or does he's like, hey, he flushes it, comes back and might not have a great game that day, but if you go back and see him the next day, has a really good game.
That's awesome. And as far as your experience goes, like guys who make it to the big leagues, right? Like, what do they do differently versus, say, some standout guy that you might see in high school or college that might have the physical tools to make it? I mean, what's the difference between the guys who make it and the guys who don't?
I think it's the ability to do the things that other guys are not willing to do, right? To put in the work other guys are not willing to put in, and making sacrifices, being disciplined, being consistent. You have guys that might have the talent but don't have the work ethic, and sooner or later that work ethic is going to pass those guys that are pretty talented. I've seen it, many times with players that I thought like, hey man, this guy has a really good chance of playing pro ball, but it just didn't work out because he stopped working, right? There's guys that don't know how to work, and when they get into pro ball, maybe they need to get with somebody that could teach them like, hey man, this is how we do things around here. So it gives them an opportunity, to try to make it. But yeah, I think that plays a big part in, being mentally tough, being mentally ready, and being able to do the little things.
I like how you mentioned sacrifice. I think Jordan and I, we always mention to our athletes discipline. It's like that's what helps separate you in this game. I mean, you can't go out like binge drinking and expect to make it anymore. Those days are over, right? Like this isn't the 80s. I think to separate yourself, it's like, hey, you got to you got to take care of your sleep. You got to take care of your studies. How you do one thing is how you do everything. And that goes to show, I mean, very similar to what you said. It's like, that's what helps separate you in this game.
Right.
Is all these things off the field that help your performance on the field.
Right. Yeah.
And I mean, aside from that, is there anything else that you feel like high school athletes, collegiate athletes should know in your position that you specifically like look for?
Yeah, just go out and just play the game as hard as you can, right? And just go out and have fun. I tell guys all the time, play like there's somebody there to watch you, because you never know who's there to watch you, right? All it takes is one either college coach or one scout to like you, and then you have the opportunity. But don't take the game for granted, man, because you just never know what's going to happen, right? A lot of us would like to wear that uniform as long as we can, but in reality, one day you're gonna have to take it off. So, just go out there and have fun and play the game the right way and play it hard. And if you do that, you're gonna get noticed.
100%. That's powerful. That's a powerful message to all those kids out there. Jordan, you got anything for us, brother?
Yeah, talk to him about as a parent and watching his son get recruited. How was it like two sides of a coin, like going from a parent's perspective to like a scouting perspective, like, hey, I'm trying to get my son scouted. Like, how did that affect you?
Yeah, for sure. So, I mean, Mike, I know your son just recently retired. How was that experience in the recruiting process from him going from high school level to college level?
Yeah, as a dad, it was tough, right? Because people assume, oh, you're a scout, so your son, has to be good. So, right. And it was tough, because he always had that in the back of his head. My dad's a pro scout. I have to be a good baseball player. So it was tough for him to handle it at times, but he handled it well throughout his high school career. He committed at a young age, his sophomore year. He committed to UTSA.
Yes.
He played in all the big events, so like we talked about, like he was a guy that had to do things right to stick out because he was that lean, wiry type of guy. Didn't have the strength that some of these other kids had. He had a really good, strong arm. He had good bat to ball skills, but he lacked the impact because he didn't have the now strength. And that's something, I had to tell him, hey, it's going to come later on. You just got to focus on, getting stronger every single year. But going through the recruiting process with him was a little tough because sorry, just lost concentration. But so it was tough for him. He committed as a sophomore. As a parent and as a former coach, I felt going the JUCO route was the best for him. Because I knew once he got to the D1 level, it was going to be tough for him because he's competing against grown men. He needed to go somewhere that he was going to develop, be able to play every single day, and grow into his body, right? And get the opportunity, to play. And if he went to a D1, it was going to be hard.
Right. And he was a two-way player, or was he mainly going for pitching specifically?
He did both. He played shortstop, and he did pitch some, but he's mostly a shortstop.
That's awesome. And he battled some adversity as well, right? Because I think it's important that these kids know that, hey, like, they don't have to stay loyal to you. You don't have to. What I mean is like, you get injured, they can strip your scholarship. Correct. Right? And that's kind of what happened to your son as well.
That's what happened to him going into his senior year, tore his labrum. And so, he got a call one day from Coach Hallmark and said that, hey, we're going to have to take your scholarship away. It's business,
Right.
And so, I told him, hey, it's part of the game, right? This is a part of the game now where you're going to have to battle some adversity, right? You're going to have to get back into the weight room. You're going to have to train a little harder and get your body ready, to compete, wherever your next step is. And, he didn't have a senior year, but he was able to, there were some junior colleges that were recruiting him while, he was still committed to UTSA.
Yes.
And once his scholarship got pulled, they reached out to him and ended up committing to Galveston Junior College.
That's awesome. And I want to kind of touch on for a minute the importance of junior college baseball, because I think a lot of guys, their high school mindset, I know mine was D1 or bust. You kind of overlook junior colleges. You might think that you're better than a junior college or whatever. Right. How competitive, A, are junior colleges in the state of Texas, and B, what are the types of players that you feel like could really benefit from going to a junior college?
Yeah, now the way the college baseball game is going now, going to a junior college can benefit a lot of guys. Benefit those guys that are late bloomers, benefit those guys that might not be strong in the classroom, that lacks that discipline. So going to a junior college, smaller classrooms, be able to get a little bit more help. It helped those guys as well. Guys that, might not be able to, perform at a D1, but at a junior college, he might be able to get on the field a lot quicker. The junior colleges now, they produce really good talent. Guys are getting drafted out of junior college now.
Yes.
So.
And you're eligible after 1 year.
Correct. Yeah. You're eligible in 1 year. So, for those guys that, want to go and play Major League Baseball, have that opportunity after their first year.
Wow. And so do you go to junior colleges often to recruit as well?
Yeah, the junior colleges start earlier than D1. So in the fall, we're able to see at least 3 weeks of junior college baseball. And so we're able to go around, try to see what athletes they have there and, see if there's anything that catches our eye.
I like that you mentioned that because they have about a 40 to 50 game fall and then like again a 50 game spring.
Yeah, they play junior college. They play a lot of baseball, man. You know,
you have no choice but to get better.
Yeah, you know, and that's the good thing about it. You know, it's you're, like you said, you're playing 50 games in the fall, then you're playing 50 plus games in the spring. You know, so you have every opportunity to get better, right? And so, you know, I think that's a very important, and that's a really good reason why, you know, guys probably need to go JUCO because they're going to get that opportunity, you know, for that development and be able to play and get better.
I couldn't agree more.
What about does you favor D2, D3 guys over JUCO guys, or do you even look at D2, D3 NAIA guys?
Yeah, I actually saw an NAIA guy this year, and I ended up turning him in. He ended up getting drafted.
Really?
Yeah.
So it just goes to show you, like, if you're good enough, they'll find you, whether it's at the Division II, Division III, or NAIA level.
Right.
It's not so much I know, like, a vast majority of Division I schools are going to be better than the vast majority of, like, D2, D3s, but it's like there's a few diamonds in the rough, right?
Correct, yeah. Yeah, and there was one this year at U of H Victoria, you know, left-handed pitcher that got drafted this year. You know, again, he was a guy that buddy of mine down in Victoria has a select team. He called me up. He's like, Mike, you need to come see this kid. He's left-handed. He, you know, he's up to 95. There's not a lot of people that know about him, you know, because it's down in U of H Victoria, and a lot of guys don't, you know, make their way down there at times, you know, especially for a NAIA school, you know.
Right.
So, you know, so I was like, man, you know, let me go down there. Let me see what you're talking about. So I went down there. I saw him pitch, and sure enough, first pitch out of his hand was 95, and so it's like, okay, you know, stick around here a little longer. Let me see what he can do. You know, so he had 3 pitches, 3-pitch mix. Was able to hit with those pitches. So, you know, I was like, hey man, why not? You know, why not give this guy an opportunity? End up turning him in, and unfortunately, I wasn't able to get him, but another organization was able to draft him.
Wow, because I know it's not uncommon for some pitchers to gain 3 to 5 miles an hour velocity after they get drafted, just based on maybe their body mechanics, and then just overall the coaching that they get at that next level is so much better.
Correct.
So maybe they find something in their arm where they can literally throw 99, 100, going from 95.
I mean, and that was the case with this guy, right? So this guy he was very raw, right? Never had any kind of pitching instruction. His freshman year, he said he was only like 86 to 88. And then sophomore year is 88 to 90. Then his junior year, that's when he made his biggest jump. He was 90 to 95, you know. So going back and talking about every guy develops differently. And, you know, this guy, he was a late bloomer. But this guy, he was very athletic. You're talking about having an opportunity to play different sports. Well, he played basketball. And so, and you could tell the way he moved on the mound too, you know, his movements. But, you know, when I was talking to him, trying to get some information, he sent me videos of him windmill dunking, you know, so we're like, man, this guy's pretty athletic, you know. So, I mean, he was willing to get better. Talking to him and, you know, trying to see what kind of mindset he had. You know, he was a guy that's willing to put the work in, just didn't have any kind of pitching instruction, so it's just basically teaching himself. I mean, he talked about, you know, looking up YouTube videos and learning different pitch grips and stuff like that. So I knew if this guy had all that time and to put in effort to put the work in to try to get better, those are the guys that have an opportunity to make it, right? We talked about having that separation being, you know, so you knew this kid you know, he wanted it. He wanted to work, and so, you know, I felt like, you know, this guy deserves an opportunity.
Absolutely, Mike. Well, man, I know we could talk baseball all day. I really appreciate you coming on the podcast with us. We're going to get you on again. Mike, it's been a pleasure, man.
Yeah, I appreciate you guys having me.
5, 4, 3,